Well, good morning, everybody. I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to Somewhat Daily Tarot and Rune for the 16th day of September 2021. It's a Thursday. It's a Jupiter day. If you're able to get outside at night, you probably see Jupiter and Saturn up in the sky. I've been including a picture of that I took of the two of them on the forecast every day this week. If I could have gotten Neptune in there, I'd have done it, but I can't get a picture of Neptune. It's too far away with just my phone. So anyhow, I hope you guys have been doing well this week. The smoke returned last night, and so it's still out a little bit out there a little bit out there this morning, but hopefully it will dissipate today. I guess we're supposed to get rain again this weekend, and they're saying that maybe, oh well, for heaven's sakes, what is going on with my cards? Maybe it will quench the fires that are still going here in Oregon. So with any luck, that'll be over with until people start, burning their wood stoves with the pellets, or I should say pellet stoves. Most people have pellet stoves now, and it's horrible. I suspect that, I go out there and I smell that stuff and I get an instant headache. So I know that there's something about whatever it is they do to that stuff, because you can buy flavored pellets, different scents, different, to make it smell like, one type of wood over another. I don't know. It's toxic. And it's like we spend our whole year in toxic smoke. It's just awful anymore. So hopefully you guys aren't experiencing the same, but as the nights grow colder, fortunately we're not at the point yet where we're having any frost though, so that's good. Because not everything is done out there, but most stuff. We've already harvested the corn and the potatoes, and the beans are on their last legs, and I harvested some gourds and the pumpkins, they'll be fine, but everything else, it's pretty much done anyway, so it's fine. Oh, well, other than the tomatoes, we're still harvesting tomatoes. That's really in fact, that's just actually getting underway. So I don't know. But anyway, I wanted to just refresh your memory of what we did Monday. We had Nathiz and Pur. So it's basically the will to control scattered energy or scattered focus or scattered thinking, maybe. But it also could be conversely the ability to look past old perceptions and develop something new. So that could also be an interpretation of it. But then we had the High Priestess, the Page of Swords, and the Three of Cups for the first three. So we were talking about using inner wisdom to understand the message of what was possibly going to be coming through over the last few days. Lots of things have been coming out country-wise, that sort of thing. I don't know if it was that or if it pertained more to our personal lives necessarily, but probably on both ends of the spectrum. There was a numerology of those Three of Fives suggesting change. There was some risk in that it may be outside people's comfort zones to deal with whatever information was coming in. The challenge was, how does remaining stuck affect our legacy going forward? And the challenge was the Eight of Pentacles. The benefit card, though, was the Sun, that if we let go of perceptions that no longer serve us, then it gives us a chance to awaken to new truths. Oh, let me turn this monitor off over here, or it's going to have weird lighting in here. I have two computers. My Solar Fire software does not run in its entirety on my Mac unless I run a Parallels desktop platform. I do that on my laptop, but I don't on this desktop, and so I have to. It's a Windows program, so I have to have a Windows computer to run that. Astro Gold is the Mac version of it, but it does not have everything in it that Solar Fire has. it has, I mean, really not. Solar fire is just an excellent. Well, I can't shuffle today. I don't know. But anyway, it's an excellent software, especially if you're into the more esoteric type of astrology like I'm into. So it's just really good. Same people produce both. So same company, the same astrologer essentially. It's hers, and it's just excellent. Another excellent one to use is Time Passages. That's Henry Seltzer's one. That's also a really good one to use. So, but I like the esoteric part of it, and so I can get a little more of that with solar fire than I can with anything else. Today's rune is Isa. It's a Norn rune of the static realm or present moment. It signals present moment awareness, remaining present, and not allowing your focus to scatter. It's also source presence invoked into form. It's contraction. It can be used, you can draw it on the forehead magically to help reduce a fever. Some say that that's possible. But basically, I just look at it as stillness, becoming, freezing unwanted behavior, maybe, especially your own. So powerful rune. To me, it signals the three Norn runes, Isa, Hagalaz, and Nathis, signal to me the goddess presence. So it's time to pay attention. It's like when you have major arcana cards in a reading. It's the soul saying, hey, wake up. But let's see here what our geomancy rune is going to be for the day. Oh, conjunctio, which is kind of interesting. It's a kind of an interesting alignment with, let's see, with Isa here. Where is conjunctio? Oh, right here. Kind of looks like a little hourglass. Now, Vaya would be more visually like Isa. But this is union and joining together in harmony. So in a sense, there's some overlap there with those two runes today, but let's go ahead and look at the cards and see what they have to say, to give us maybe a little more specific information about that. And that's what I like to do if this is your first time here, and welcome if it is. And I hope you click subscribe and come back. And then Google always wants you to give things a like. So I don't know. I don't run ads, so I don't know why it matters to me, but it does. But still, if you like it, then let me know. And I literally cannot at all shuffle today. I don't know what's wrong with me. But we'll just do a little bit more here just to make sure. I was shuffling beforehand and it went pretty well, and now I don't know. So anyway. So let's take our first three cards. What I'm going to do after that, again, for those who haven't been here before, I'll do 3 cards of influence, and then I'll do one that is a challenge card, what challenges us, and then the last card will be what benefits. And if you want to think about whatever, in terms of the outcome card, usually it's the third card of the first 3, that if you're going to look at it in that way, it just seems to be that one. And I don't know why, but it does. We start out with the Queen of Pentacles. A woman of means, a woman in authority, reflective, a little bit focused on her wealth though. Maybe not in terms of the same level of focus that, say, the king would have, but she's a woman of comfort. We have the Knight of Cups. Cups is the water element. Pentacles is the earth element. Here we have an individual that's on a quest. In a sense, he's carrying the Holy Grail with the chalice. He's passionate. He's protective. He's committed. He has empathy for others. right now there just seems to be this quiet presence about the Queen and the Knight, in a sense. If you look at them elementally, you're looking at earth and water as being passive influences, although water is capable of great change and upheaval. It's still considered a passive influence, whereas, or a feminine influence, whereas, or you could say receptive, whereas air and fire now would be the masculine or projective or active principles. Well, here we have some playful struggle here. The Five of Wands. So we've got Pentacles, Cups, and Wands represented. Again, the numerology is a 5 because we don't assign numbers to the other two, to the court. So basically, there's some change going on. Maybe a playful struggle between a woman in authority and her son, maybe a mother and son. You could maybe read it that way. But the Five of Wands, you're going to be talking about competition, creative conflict, but what you don't see, and the reason why I just think it's creative struggle is because you don't see anybody hitting anybody with the staffs themselves. They're all just sort of, expressing their own ideas and their own creative input, but it's like healthy competition. I heard something that sometimes when people argue, it's not that they're arguing, it's that it's an expression of love. It's a cultural thing in some families where, they get together and it just seems like everybody's opinions, and they're all loud about it, and they're all seeming to argue about it, but it's what gives them it's exciting for them. It shows that they love each other, that they're engaged with one another. So you could also look at the 5 as engagement. But again, if you look at this in terms of being stuck, you have the Queen of Pentacles. She's surrounded by, this is a beautiful card, really. Of all her throne is beautiful, or her chair, if you want to call it that. She's out in the garden, and you see the roses all around her here. It's almost like in an archway, forming an archway. She's holding her coin, though, and she's very focused on all that she has. So in a sense, though, she gives the feeling of being settled. Now, that can either work for or against you. You can become too settled, but at the same time, it can keep you stuck in perception, so you don't want to be too settled. But generally speaking, this queen is very generous. She could be thinking about, what can I do for the people in my kingdom? She's quiet, of course. She's ambitious, though. Similar to like a Taurus woman would be. She's trustworthy. She's wise. In a sense, she's domesticated. She's the earth mother. So there's all of those components. But when you've got the Knight of Cups here, if you look at what's happening here, she's focused on her own thing, and he's out doing for others. He's offering compassion and loyalty and chivalry, vision, whatever, to people. So so you can see the energy of movement. She's more concerned about what's going on in her life, where he's out trying to help other people. So maybe together, what does then the creative conflict have to do with it? Could it be the inner struggle between staying focused on yourself or going out and helping other people, and being aware of say, what other people are contending with? I think that there's so much of that right now where, in a sense, we're prevented from doing that, or if we do, we have to be creative about it. And maybe that's what the creative conflict is all about, that inner struggle to figure out a way to both take care of self and others at the same time, maybe. but there's an element here of being off balance, maybe, that we have to contend with. It just doesn't seem like that's coming into this, though, but I wonder if it'll be part of the, I wonder if it'd be part of the challenge card. But with respect to Issa and Conjunctio, in a sense, Issa could align with the Queen, maybe, and then Conjunctio could align with the Knight. And would the creative conflict then be within? I really think that the creative conflict, even though it's showing it's between others, I don't think it's really between the Queen and the Knight. Maybe the Knight is going off and doing all the things that the Queen is wanting him to do. That could be it. But I don't know that there's any real creative conflict there. Let me just look here and see if there's anything else. There's gain. But I'm not sure what competition would be, because I don't think that the rest of this is showing anything. Let's take a fourth card before we go on to the challenge card. There's just something about the 5 that I'd like a little more clarity on. So let's get some clarity on that, and we'll take this fourth card to modify this third one. In fact, let's take the 13th card. I do that when I want it to be really random. Because again, if my shuffling has, here we're standing our ground with the 7 of taking stock of what's coming at us. Let's see, 7 and 5 is 12, so that gives us a 3. I wonder if he's really stepping outside the Queen's comfort zone to engage with others. Now, he wants to engage with compassion and vision and support. But can he do that? Is it realistic to be able to do that right now? This guy's standing his ground. And again, it's wands modifying wands. The 7 modifying the 5. When you look at the numerology of this, you're looking at, instead of even numbers, you're looking at odd numbers. And so the odd numbers are going to be more conflict-oriented, and the even numbers are going to be more passive in that regard. It's going to be more calm and harmonious. But here, with the 7, this is a card of balance. So it's possibly bringing balance to this. Maybe these are aligning down here. And he's taking charge and saying, okay, no. But it's about courage and success and honor and confrontation. So maybe maybe what we're doing here is we're confronting the turmoil within to figure out, how do we let go of maybe feeling stuck in something, thinking only about our own self, so that we can then move. And that's really kind of a harsh way to view the Queen, because I don't think that she is. But how do you express that generosity, that she has, if she has to stay there? Well, she sends out her Knight to do that. But again, if that's about alignment, then we've got something here. Then the wands has to do with something. It's going to have to do with something that they're trying to deal with then. So there must be some kind of conflict going on, where people are trying to find their way and stand their ground, and maybe they can't hear what the Knight has to offer, until maybe the 7 comes out and you have to get up away from everything to be able to see what's really going on here. I think that we have to look at the 5 of Wands in a way that has to do with the inner turmoil experienced by other people. There's a separation between the court and the rest of the people. Okay, naturally, the king and the queen and the knight and the page, they're all a separate section of the tarot. They're not, I mean, they're part of the minor arcana, but yet they're not, right? Because they're not numbered. They're really their own little unique situation. And it's dealing with authority and how we express that, really, in terms of the Queen and the King. In this case, the Queen is benevolent. She wants to do good things for her people. So to do that, I think she's sending out the Knight to do that, to offer compassion and vision and a new way of seeing things. Because right now, everybody's at odds with one another. And realistically, to deal with that, you're going to have to get up above it all and come into balance, let things settle out, and stand your ground and say, no, it's time to come together and let the compassion come into our lives and affect what's going on. Because clearly, I don't think either of the 5 or the 7 really align particularly well with Isa or Conjunctio, unless you're thinking about the need to focus the will into a more harmonious or compassionate way, a way of offering instead of a way of taking or harming. You know, if it has to do with what's happening with how we're managing the pandemic, you know, you've got, I read a thing this morning before I started this where I think it's a hospital in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. They've called in the military to come and I'm assuming the Guard, but I don't know, to come in and help in one of the hospitals. They're also offering nurses, what did I read, like $250 an hour just to come and help, because they can't take any more patients. The hospitals are full, and people that need help that don't have COVID, that have other issues, you can't. There was a thing, and I don't know what state it was now, but a boy they took their boy to the hospital emergency room, but he couldn't get in. He had to wait 5 hours. He had appendicitis, and his appendix burst. He ended up staying in the hospital 5 days because they couldn't see him. A child was 11, 12 years old, something like that. You know, this is where we're at, and so I have to wonder if this is about the struggle that people are having, you know, to control the will and to control this expression, this so-called expression of freedom, that really, in the midst of a pandemic, what are you really wanting? You know, are you wanting to harm other people? This is what I've never understood about this. But in a sense, the will is the will to join together, the will to come together in harmony, to get past what we're dealing with, I think. Let's look at the challenge card. Again, I'm going to take the 13th one for both the challenge. Well, we have the Page of Pentacles. Oh, it's just a court card extravaganza today. Isn't that fun? But here we have another messenger here. We have a page is usually a messenger or a student. But I suggest the challenge with the Page of Pentacles. Again, you're talking about the earth element with the suit of Pentacles, and you're talking about somebody with a more spiritual focus. This person is very grounded, very studious, very responsible. Again, very trustworthy, reliable, dependable, conscientious. All of that. Are we expressing that? Because conjunctio would be part of that. The challenge is, you know, are we going to be able to allow others to tell us what we need to know? Are we going to listen? Are we going to understand that it's not simply about us, that it's really about the greater good, the conjunctio, the joining of it all? We're all affected by one another's choices here. You know, it's just like I read somebody said something about when they did the Clean Air Act or something, and they said, I think it was 2004 maybe or 5, somewhere in there, where they banned smoking indoors. in businesses and restaurants. Well, I don't know about well, yeah, they did. I think bars were exempt, but then finally bars started doing it too. But yeah, you couldn't smoke indoors. You couldn't around other people. I mean, what they were trying to say is, look, it's airborne. Secondhand smoke is hurting people. It's killing people. It's making people sick. They're not asking for it. You have no right to do that. Well, there's no difference here with the pandemic. You don't have any right to harm someone else by your choices. You're going to choose to not get vaccinated. You're going to choose not to be safe. Well, fine. Stay home. Don't come out of your house. It's that simple. Don't bother anybody. And we've had this mindset for some time now that you can't run around hurting people. And yet, that's what's happening. And I think that some of that is here. And so you have the creative conflict here of everybody wanting to do their own thing and somebody else going, no, wait a minute, let's stand our ground here and say, no, that's not going to work, right? So the challenge is to take a more spiritual focus. One where you can think about the legacy we leave behind. That's another aspect of Pentacles, is legacy. What are we leaving behind? What are we teaching our kids? Are we teaching them? Some kids are learning that they're not safe around adults. Some kids are learning that other things, that they can go out and be harmful and be irresponsible and negligent and totally devoid of any compassion for anyone else. So there's a lot of things that we can learn from the experience that we're all sharing right now. So the card of benefit, though, is Judgment, awakening. We see Gabriel, the angel Gabriel, blowing his horn, waking everybody up. The more alternative decks will call this rebirth or eon. But that's what it is. It's really awakening to truth. Now, we've seen this before in other cards, this particular cross. And I stuck this to my monitor so I don't have to draw it again. This is what I think this represents. This is not a medical cross. It's not a religious cross. It's not anything like that. I think it represents our energetic makeup around us and us in form. We have spirit infusing us into form. We go down through the abyss where we choose the gender, we choose the overall theme, and also this is not gender. This is actually polarity. What's our polarity going to be like? Are we? And to me, polarity is really more about, are you service to self or service to others? I mean, service to others would be on the feminine or receptive side of self. Service to self would be on this side, on the masculine or projective side of self. Now, generally speaking, we live probably about here because a lot of people are not aware that they are actually spirit infused into form, that the body's just a vehicle. And we can either choose to transmute ego into spirit by focusing on the fact that we're spirit, or we can become reactive and then stay in the creative mode, right? Or we can become reactive like we do, and then basically be driven by, in some cases, our worst impulses, but at least in terms of or at least a reactive impulse where we're constantly reacting to what we're seeing instead of doing what the Seven of Wands is suggesting, is getting above it and stepping back and taking a look at what's really going on. And maybe choosing not to react or reacting in a different way. Ideally, we should be in the center. We should be completely balanced. But then we probably wouldn't be living in 3D reality. So I don't know. But I think that's what we're talking about here with this flag. We see it on the High Priestess in that card as well. But here we have awakening, really, where the judgment is not a harsh judgment, but but I hate the word. I really do, because it's really not. It's really about looking at what's gone on and being able to accurately assess, okay, what happened here, what's really going on, what's the true message behind this, and then awakening to that instead of rejecting it and living within the ego. I don't think that I think that this card here is probably more reflective of ego than maybe this one, unless you're trying to continue to stand your ground on something that's harming others, that's not living in service to conjunctio or alignment in spirit. Because that's where we begin. Isa's reminding us we are aligned in spirit. And I think that, the generosity that's out there of all the information, nobody's holding it back like happened before, and telling us something that isn't true. We're not having to contend with any of that anymore, other than maybe from people generally in the world, maybe, but not from at least the government isn't lying to us about any of this. They're telling us what we need to know. Medical and CDC, all of those folks have always tried to do that, but they were hampered during the initial year or so of this pandemic, and now they're not being hampered anymore. They're if anything, they're being encouraged to tell us everything we need to know in this changing situation. So and that's the other part. This is telling us that this struggle, it's because things are changing, but they're changing because of this struggle. Okay, because people can't figure out that they've actually been told the truth about this, that this is serious, and so I don't know. I think that's the struggle we're in right now. Can we see this through the eyes of spirit? Can we see this through a higher self perspective where we can understand that we have an impact on other people? And again, if this is not referring if this is referring to something going on in your life, you have to remain compassionate. You have to remain the sort of individual that is willing to engage with others in a way that promotes harmony and compassion and empathy, and awaken to the truth that we're all in this together. Families are experiencing issues right now with the different perspectives on everything, and it all just needs to be put into the perspective of how do we survive together. Are you contributing to that, or are you contributing to the chaos? And I think that both the Queen and the Knight are suggesting, and the Page, what are we offering one another here? Are we offering generosity? Are we offering something that preserves the legacy we all want to leave behind, either collectively or individually, or as in families, or what have you? And the people that want to either stand their ground on the chaos, well, I think eventually, as people turn their attention to other things, they're going to find no purchase in this. Or if there's pushback, they're not going to be able to deal with it. So I don't know. I think that in some ways it feels like the last vestiges of authoritarian control, still trying to exert its influence, but the momentum is there. That says, no, we're not going to let this continue. We can't, so the cooler heads prevail, and the ones that want to listen to reason and to the science behind things, we want to go forward and not be stuck in this quagmire of what we've been stuck in. And I think just the article today that I read about the hospital in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, really demonstrates what's happened as a result. Had we come together right off the bat, had we been given the right information from the government right off the bat, and if we hadn't had a president who was doing the things he was doing to lie to all of us, well, I would suggest we would be in a very different place right now than we are. But we're never going to know that, are we? We have what we have to deal with, and we need to do that. So Again, you know, listen to the inner voice, listen to the quiet voice inside that tells you what you really need to hear, instead of the loud voices around you that seem to want to keep the chaos stirred up. We need to let go of that and move forward on a shared path, and get through this and protect our kids. Really, realistically, they're our legacy. We have to protect them. So, you know, a parent's job is never done, is it? Anyway, thanks for watching. Check out the Esoteric Influences on Sunday. If you want to sign up for the newsletter, you can do that over in the blog. There's a link below the video, and you can get that in your inbox on Saturday night if you want that ahead of time. I guess that's it. I can't think of anything else I need to say. Haven't written anything else different than what I did last week. I did a couple things last week. A bind rune. I'll probably do another bind rune, maybe. And I did a tarot reading with the Wildwood Tarot deck, which I just love that deck. Oh my God. But anyway, there might be something like that that comes up. Oh, I also did a post on, that's the one thing I didn't tell you. I did a post on making rose-infused oil, skin oil. So that's on there too. So check that out if you want. If you're interested in doing that, that's there. And I guess that's it. Be good to yourself. Be good to one another. And blessed be.